You're listening to the Whole Hog Sports Podcast. And now, here's your host, Matt Jones.
Hey, welcome in. Razorback Baseball with a big win over the weekend. Series sweep of Alabama down in Tuscaloosa. We'll talk about it all today with Bubba Carpenter here in studio. I want to tell you that today's podcast brought to you by H&R Tire and Auto. They're a third-generation family-owned business serving Northwest Arkansas since 1976. Just like great baseball programs, H&R is built on consistency, trust, and doing things the right way. No shortcuts and no gimmicks at H&R Tire and Auto. Also brought to you by Eggland's Best. When it comes to your game day, you want the best in your lineup. That includes your eggs. Eggland's Best delivers more of the nutrition you need with 6 times more vitamin D and 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. You can score now with Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs. For more information, visit egglandsbest.com. We're also brought to you by Southern Loft. They believe your home should reflect your unique personality. That's why they offer a wide variety of stylish furniture pieces that are perfect for any taste. Whether you're looking for a new sofa for the living room, a sleek dining table for your kitchen, they've got just what you need. When you're looking for that piece of furniture that reflects you, visit Southern Loft at 3155 North College Avenue in Fayetteville or call 479-856-6100. It was a wild week in the SEC. The number of sweeps that are piling up in this conference really are kind of amazing, Bubba. I looked this up this morning. There have been 13 teams that have already had a sweep in conference play this year. We're only 5 weeks into the conference season. There have been 13 teams that have been swept. There are 10 teams that have both swept and been swept. There's this huge logjam in the middle of the SEC right now. 8-7 and 7-8. And there are 9 teams that are either 8-7 or 7-8. And, you know, Georgia, they lost 2 of 3 over the weekend to Florida. They're still in the lead in the SEC by a couple of games, but you know, it feels like this is kind of anybody's conference to take by the horns here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, it really is. I think the one that shocked me the most was the Tennessee sweep over Mississippi State. I mean, that's
2 weekends in a row that Mississippi State's been swept. They're Mississippi State. You realize Arkansas is the only series where they did not either sweep or get swept. They're very much kind of feast or famine. It feels like with them because, you know, like they left here and they went back down and they swept Vanderbilt. I think they swept Ole Miss and Oxford, and that's 2 weekends in a row that they've been swept at Duty Noble by Georgia and Tennessee.
I mean, it's crazy. It's like you said, it's life in the SEC. You just don't know. I think the margin for error. I mean, everything is everyone's so equal. Mm-hmm. You know, I think you got teams like Florida have the back end of their bullpen. It's kind of the separator with them, and I think Florida's been hot. I mean, you know, they're a team that you don't want to play, you know, when it comes postseason time. And we'll see what happens with Georgia this weekend when they come into town. I'm excited about this weekend. Hopefully the weather will straighten up. It looks like there's some rain, but I'm looking forward to this weekend. I want to see, you know, kind of how good that Georgia team is.
Well, we'll talk about Georgia on Thursday's show. Let's talk Arkansas, Alabama right now. I mean, we thought Arkansas had a chance to win the series this weekend. Like we talked last Thursday, Alabama, their pitching staff doesn't have the same swing and miss stuff that Auburn or Florida had. And I said this on Thursday. I said I thought they were going to have more opportunity to put the ball in play. It's just a matter of, you know, are the hits. And they were. I mean, they hit the ball really well this weekend. And the other thing, you know, I still think Alabama's a good team, but I think that team's going to struggle some because of the way they field the baseball. Arkansas took advantage of a lot of mistakes that Alabama made in the field over the weekend.
I mean, they did. They booted some routine plays. There were some plays they didn't make that they probably should have, even in the outfield. You know, and every time they made a mistake, though, we took advantage of it, and that was good to see. I mean, you look at the LeBron era. Error he made on Friday night. That was huge. You know, he not only booted it, then he threw it away, 2-run score. I mean, that was huge right there. And then Pompey comes up, of course. But, yeah, I mean, that error was big. And then there was another time where they had the infield in. We were going down angle. Helfrich hit a hard ball. Kind of a weird hop, in-between hop. Looked like I caught him in the between the legs in a bad spot there. I don't know what we're allowed to say on the air, so I just won't even say it. But, yeah. And runs scored there, but that's a play that, you know, if you're most shortstop, you make that play. I think, you know, we talk about, good infielders creating their own hop. He kind of got caught in between right there. I think he was trying to decide, am I going to go home or am I going to go to first? But yeah, they didn't make some of those plays. But man, I'm proud of the guys, Matt. I mean, you think about it. We were 1-6.
Yeah.
In our last 6 conference games going in, it'll be real easy for the guys to kind of let go of the rope. The season could have gone either way, but I mean, you got to, the staff, DVH and the staff, keeping the guys together. Dave and Hobbs, they made a few changes in the lineup, the rotation, and we always talk about DVH has that ability to push all the right buttons.
Yeah.
I think he was dead on this weekend. He was spot on. Everything he did worked.
I think Van Horn would be a good horse trainer. Like horse trainers, like they're able to just kind of tell hey, when to push it and when to pull off. I really think that's one of the kind of the hallmarks of a good coach. And I mean, he even said something. I forget when, if it was at Swatters Club or if it was after one of these games. But hey, they got after the players pretty good in practice. I think on Monday. In terms of really pushing them in practice. And then a lot of conversations were had last week about, kind of where they were, but also just about playing better situational baseball. And I thought that you could see that in Alabama.
Yeah, there were times that we had a runner at second. We were able to move him over. I know Rutenbar had one really good at bat.
Yep.
There was leadoff double. He's able to get the runner over. Then he scores on sac fly. Plays like that. Just little things that we did. It was just good to see. And I like the way the veteran guys responded. I think DVH kind of challenged some of the veteran guys. You look at Kojal had a good weekend. Pompey, a really good weekend. Aloy had some big hits. Guys like that have been kind of struggling in SEC play came through for us.
I mean, he challenged them publicly last week. He at the Swatters Club. He said, point blank, they've got to hit better for us to have the success that we're going to have. In particular, Kojal and Aloy. I mean, you think about the two of them; they were all SEC players last year. Aloy was an All-American. Kojal might have been too. I can't remember if he got an All-America honor or not, but I know that Cujillo was. And you look at what they hit in the SEC last year. It was 333 and 291. Well, going into Alabama, and those numbers are up now. I don't have the updated ones here in front of me, but it was like 167 and 140. You knew that, or 147. You knew that there was a lot more in the tank from those two than what they had shown. And with Kojal, how about you realize in the 8th inning of every game he had one of the hits. He had the leadoff home run in Game 1 that kind of gave him a little bit more of life. Game 2 had the leadoff double that kind of sparked that inning. And then yesterday had the big RBI hit that scored the game-winning run.
Yeah, they say it. I say all the time, it's not what you hit, it's when you hit.
Yeah.
And if you look at Kojal's number right here, I mean, if you go SEC only, he's only hitting 194, but he's had some huge hits.
But that's 27 points higher than it was going into the series.
Yeah, you're right. And same with Pompey. Of course, Pompey's hitting 333.
He had a monster weekend.
Only. Yeah, he had a good weekend.
It's like it's we've seen this with him too, like early in SEC play. When he gets locked in, you can really see the potential that's there with his bat. He is a little bit inconsistent, though, with the defense. Had a couple of throwaways this weekend.
Yeah, there were a couple plays, and but once again, we were able to pitch through it. I mean, if maybe gave up one run, but I felt like this weekend more than any when we made a mistake on defense, the pitchers bowed their neck and got us out of it. Or when Alabama made a mistake, our hitters bowed up and they took advantage of the mistake. And man, that's what good teams do. It was fun watching it.
I thought Gabe Gackle getting out of the 7th inning jam yesterday was probably that was probably the sequence of the weekend. To be honest with you, I know Arkansas had already won the series, but there's a big difference of going out of there, 2-1 with a Sunday loss and having Alabama tack on a couple at the end of the game versus getting out of there with a sweep. And it felt inevitable almost, like Alabama was about to score there and regain the lead right after Arkansas had worked so hard to get the game tied. And boy, he did that against the heart of the Alabama order. I mean, I think that was maybe 4, 5, 6 or 5, 6, 7 that he did that against to get out of that jam, or maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 because somebody got on with a walk to load the bases. But man, just real impressive from Gabe.
Well, So the runner's second and third, nobody out. He strikes out the next two, and then he walks somebody, and then he gets behind the next hitter, I think 2-0.
I think so.
And I'm thinking, oh, no, here we go. And then, he made a real good pitch. He threw a fastball, but it had a little extra life on it and got a pop-up. I think pop-up to left field, I believe. But, yeah, it was good to see because that could have gone really bad. And I think from there on, the guys were like, hey, we got this.
Mm-hmm. It looked to me, and I may be wrong about this, I think the Alabama pinch hitter said WTF as he swung at that last cutter by Gackle. Did you see his lips?
No.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. Obviously, I can't say that, but I think everybody gets the point.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what the Frank? No, that cutter, that was his go-to pitch right there in that inning. That was as good as it's looked, I think, probably all year.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Because he hadn't had a ton of swing and miss stuff this year,
No,
it feels
he
like.
hadn't. The one thing I still wish he'd do, I don't want to be negative. I wish Gackle would use the top of the zone more. I really do.
It was there for the taking yesterday.
Yeah.
That was a big strike zone. That looked like an umpire who had a plane to catch.
Yeah, and McIlvain took advantage of it.
Yep.
But, I say this all the time. I view our pitching staff from the batter's box, and I always picture if I'm in the box, I think the pitch that I would struggle with Gackle with would be the high fastball because of his lower release point. He's got some carry.
Almost looks like a rise ball.
Yeah, and I just wish he would use the top of the zone a little more. I want to ask Hobbs one day. And maybe it's just something they see. They got access to all the analytics. Maybe the analytics say, hey, no, when he elevates it, it gets hit hard. I don't know. But to me, it looks like if he used the top of the zone a little bit more, that would open up the zone to go to the bottom of the zone with that slider or cutter or fastball or changeup, whatever else he wants to throw. But just my observation.
I was really curious to see how McIlvain's outing was going to go yesterday because he didn't look bad, but he didn't look great on Friday either. I think he hit a guy with a couple of 2-strike pitches, right? And once in the 8th, once in the 9th. I think they were leadoff batters too in both of those cases. And, honestly, we just haven't seen him recycle real fast this year. Like we haven't seen them really try that with him. He might pitch on Saturday or Sunday, and it might, he might come back out like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something. But he looked really good. The fastball that first inning that he pitched was probably as good as that fastball has looked all year. And then again, like you said, he was taking advantage of that high strike that David Savage, the plate umpire, was giving him.
Well, what did Dave say in the postgame interview? He told him that won't happen again. Or something.
Breakfast.
Yeah, something to the effect of that won't happen again, or you won't see that again. That's a guy that I want on the mound.
Yeah.
Anyone that tells me that, I want him. I want him on the mound. We were in a tournament this weekend, and I had a guy come up and tell me I want that team, and I want to hear that out of a guy. So, and boy, he came in and got it done. It was good to see. And, he threw 30 pitches on Friday. And I don't think he was available on Saturday, but Sunday, boy, he looked really good.
Yeah, that's, again, you're kind of learning a little bit about the team. Okay, now McIlvain, he's shown you he can pitch on Friday, he can come back and he can pitch on Sunday. And I'm sure the coaches probably knew that, that he had that in him. But it's really the first time that I think we have seen it.
But, I think one of the biggest pitches of the weekend was Parker Coyle coming in, striking out Hines
with the cutter.
0-2 cutter down and in. Just a perfect location on that pitch, kind of back-legged it. It's a strike all the way to the plate, and like the last 3 feet, it's not a strike.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an awesome pitch because that dude, you make a mistake with him, and we got a tie ball game. So I thought that was a great pitch.
I'm trying to find this quote here because Van Horn and Rob Vaughn, the Alabama coach, they both had comments about it. Van Horn said, "It was as good of a located cutter as you can have for a lefty to a right-handed hitter." And then Vaughn called those pitches disgusting cutters and said he made some good pitches in a big spot. And Parker came back in yesterday and pitched well too.
Think about that pitch on Friday, though. Do you remember the pitch that Hines hit out against Dietz? It was a cutter that ran right into his barrel and hit it a mile. So if that's just the confidence to throw that pitch there, because if that pitch is just a little bit higher, if you miss your spot, it's a home run because it's the way that dude swings. That cutter plays right into his barrel, so you got to make sure you get it below the barrel. If you get it right here, I don't know if people can see it on camera, but if you get it right here, his barrel runs right into it, just like the Dietz cutter did.
He's powerful too.
Yeah, he is.
He looks like he's got a lot of. It was funny, the timing. I think it was Alan Dunn, who was the color analyst who used to be LSU's pitching coach and played at Alabama. But I think like right before he swung, he was comparing Hines to Albert Bell, and then lo and behold, he hits like a 430-foot shot over the scoreboard. I was like, whoa, maybe you're right.
Well, it's a good comparison. I mean, he's a big, strong dude. He's a freshman. He's going to be really good.
Now, Albert Bell was kind of crazy in college, right? I know he was kind of crazy in the pros, too.
Crazy his whole career.
Did he get kicked off of the team at LSU? Am I right about that?
I don't know if he did or not.
I think he might have.
There's so many things I think about with Albert Bell, but the one thing that stands out is the double play ball where I can't remember who the second baseman was, but he was standing in the base path, and he was trying to tag Albert, or he was trying to tag him and then throw to first, and he just like forearm shoved him and like knocked him backwards 10 feet, and so that's the thing I remember about Bell.
Yeah, he went by Joey Bell when he was at LSU, and he got I guess he got suspended at the SEC tournament, and that kept him out of the College World Series, and then he went pro.
Oh.
So, but Hines, he looks really good. I thought getting Damian Ruiz back, number one, what a surprise this weekend.
Yeah.
Because on Monday, Van Horn said that he reiterated he's going to be out for a month, and now all of a sudden here he is playing on Saturday. I was surprised to see that.
Yeah, and I think Damian gave a big shout out to Dr. Reeves and Corey Wood. Gave him a big shout out. I thought that was really cool. But I mean, think about it. I mean, that's the strain, the patella strain, and all of a sudden 2 weeks later you're back in the lineup, and they thought it was going to be over a month. I mean, that's crazy. So it was good to see, but I think it kind of gave us a little spark. He played really well too. So I thought it was good seeing him back in there. But all those little things, baseball's so mental. You get a guy back in a lineup like that, and you're like, yes, we got our dude back. And so I thought he did a good job.
And he didn't look rusty at all.
No, I mean, you take a couple weeks off like that. It's hard to take 2 weeks off, and then all of a sudden you're back in there. And I mean, he didn't miss a beat.
It feels almost. I don't know if inevitable is the right word. It feels he'll be back in the leadoff spot before too long. Rutenbar, he got thrown out at home plate, and I think during game one, it was 1-1 at that time. I don't know if he ran through a stop sign. I don't know if they sent him. I don't know what happened there, but he does not have the speed on the base paths that Ruiz has, and if Ruiz is giving him competitive at bats, Rutenbar's still going to give you competitive at bats if you drop him down in the order.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some RBI opportunities there for him. It feels like with Ruiz's speed, it's probably just a matter of time before he's back in the leadoff role.
Right. So we're watching a game, and my son said, "How in the world did he get thrown out there?" And the thing I noticed is LeBron made that throw. So on a ball to right center, typically your shortstop's the trailer there. They've got him in front because I think Holt doesn't have a very good arm. So I think anyone but LeBron probably doesn't throw. He's got a cannon. Anyone but LeBron probably doesn't throw him out at the plate there. It was a perfect throw, perfect relay in. But yeah, Rutenbar doesn't have the speed, and he's not slow. But on a play like that, you're like, come on, get there. He looks slow on that, even though he's not slow. But yeah, it was just, I think if you played that over a few times, he beats it and he's safe. But yeah, that one time it was a perfect relay.
That's always somebody that said they don't think that he was an option quarterback in high school. Like you hear all this talk about he was a quarterback for I think Midlothian Heritage.
Yeah.
He just didn't have the speed I think that you're looking for. He's got the bat control, even though it didn't go well for him yesterday. I thought yesterday was probably the worst day we've seen from him at the plate, 0 for 5. But he's got the bat control typically at the plate where he's going to fight off those pitches. But there is that second element of wanting somebody who's got really elite speed in that leadoff role. And Ruiz has that, even if he was only 85, 90%. I mean, That's still better than 100 for most guys, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm still impressed. I know Rootbar didn't have a good day yesterday. I thought they made some good pitches on him. But I love his at bats. I love how he goes up there and grinds out at bats. And there was one at bat. I don't remember which one it was. And the pitcher threw him a changeup and fooled him. Came back with the same pitch, and he smoked it to right field for a base hit. And for a freshman to be able to make the adjustments like that during the at bat, I like that. And he's going to be a special hitter.
Reminder, our baseball podcast is sponsored by H&R Tire and Auto. They're a local shop that's been family-owned for 3 generations. They've built their reputation on taking care of customers the right way, and that kind of longevity doesn't happen by accident. Perfect segue here. Just got an email that TJ Pompey is the SEC Player of the Week.
Good.
Let's kind of drill down on him for a second. What do you see different in his swing? Because Van Horn was talking about during the series – he's really liked what he's seen from him recently in batting practice and felt like that was going to carry over to the games, and it certainly did.
Well, good hitters are defined by what they don't swing at. He's not chasing that slider down and away off the plate. He's laying off of it and then getting pitches in the zone and crushing them. It's like that one. I want to say he got back-to-back sliders. He saw the first one, then the next one he hammered it to left field. And once again, that's what good hitters do. And boy, you watch him play, and he's got so much ability. You hope he figures it out, and you hope he keeps building on this and getting better. But in SEC, he's hitting 333 in SEC games, and so he's been getting it done. He's had some really big hits for us in SEC games.
Like you look at his SEC, like if you're looking at it like it'd be a bell graph where it's like up here and then it goes down here and then it's back up here. It's just going to be interesting to see if he can keep this up.
But you did say it. I don't think Alabama, their bullpen, they got good starters. Their bullpens. And by the way, we didn't even really talk about Faye.
But can we say one thing? The home run he hit in game 1, that was off their best reliever. That was their closer.
Yeah. That was the one, I think it was a fastball in. And he pulled his hands in and got to it. That was a tough pitch. When I saw that swing, I'm like, I was talking to Dalton, my son. I'm like, man, you see that? And it wouldn't let me replay it for some reason. I wanted to rewind it and look at it, but the station wouldn't let you. And but I wanted to go back and look at that swing. But, boy, it looked like it was a fastball in, and he really – I always say the backside delivers the barrel, and I really thought he got his hands inside and just hammered that ball because it was actually a really good pitch.
He may have the quickest hands on the team, like in terms of what you see at the plate.
I think him and Micah New is super quick through the plate, and sometimes it's a detriment because he's in and out of the zone so quick that he kind of pulls off some balls. But, boy, both of them are really quick, electric at the plate. So you get guys like that going. And New, I think about the ball that New hit the right field, the sac fly. I don't know what it was hit off the bat, but that ball was smoked.
That's a home run most days. The wind was blowing in probably 10, 15 miles an hour yesterday.
It being a sac fly, but that ball, if you hit that at Baum-Walker, it probably hit Dave's office.
Same thing goes for Helfrich yesterday. I mean, the triple, that's probably a home run.
Yeah.
And then he looked like he had a home run taken away in the first inning because it got blown down at the warning track. That looked like a home run off the bat. And I thought, we talk about him being a tough luck hitter. I thought there were 3 different times that he got robbed of a hit by that middle infield.
Yeah.
And LeBron, he's really inconsistent, but man, he's got like he just oozes potential. I feel like I didn't have time to ask it yesterday, but I really wanted to ask Van Horn like how much of a handful was that guy? Because when he's on at the plate, he's really good. He had a couple of doubles yesterday. When he gets on base, he can really move. He had 3 stolen bases this weekend, leads the SEC, I think, with 28. And then defensively, we saw him boot the balls a couple, 3 times, but he also made about 4 or 5 plays where it's like there aren't very many other guys in the country, maybe like a Rock Chalowski or somebody like that, who are making those type of plays from shortstop.
But think about it, though. Great players make the routine play. I feel like he missed a couple of routine plays that ended up being huge.
Yeah.
Look at our shortstop. He makes the routine play. He may not make that spectacular play up the middle and may not get to that ball, but I'll take that routine play every time.
I thought Nolan Souza made some really good plays at second base defensively.
Yeah, he looked great. So, and I think his arm, he's getting more confident with his arm. So, Nolan.
It's almost like you don't even notice the arm anymore with him.
No, you don't. But he really did. Made some good plays going up the middle, came and got a few balls, made some good plays. So think it was good to see.
And I thought he had one of the best hits of the weekend. I forget which day it was, but got a 2-strike curveball and just fisted it the other way, and against the shift, and just a really good piece of hitting.
Yeah, it was like a curveball up and in. He pulled his hands in and just kind of shot it down. I don't even want to say shot because it wasn't a shot, but kind of dribbled it down the left field line. But I mean, swings like that are huge. Just the ability to. It'd have been real easy for him to swing underneath that ball and strike out. But he was able to get his hands inside, and they're shifting on him. So just shoot it right down that third baseline. Those. And Dave talks about it all the time, and I hate strikeouts. I absolutely hate strikeouts. Sometimes there's a strikeout that's not as big. It's an out. And outs, a lot of people say, well, an out's an out. But, boy, just the value of just putting the ball in play. And I thought we had some really good at-bats over the weekend. And I thought we battled through some adversity. You look at the inning where, the fly ball to right. Schaefer comes in. It's a tough play. I think he was kind of caught in between. Am I going to dive or not dive? And it hits off his glove. Then the next ball gets hit to him, and, he bobbles it, and a guy takes an extra base. Things could have gone wrong right there, but then that's one of those situations where our pitcher stepped up, made good pitches, got out of the inning.
All right, so speaking of pitchers, Hunter Dietz, to me, what he's done the last – and I know that against Auburn it was game 2, but it was against their guy. 2 weeks in a row, he's battled, the guy from the other team, and he's held his own. He's gotten deep into the game. 6 innings the other night, 2 runs, 3 hits, 3 walks, which is kind of high for him. He's not really walking a whole lot of batters this year. 9 strikeouts, 107 pitches. It goes to show you how valuable it is to have somebody that can go deep on a Friday night and really save the bullpen and set you up, for the rest of the weekend, because – you hear coaches talk about this all the time. Like, everything matters. Even if it doesn't necessarily play a role in that game, like, there's this trickle-down effect throughout the weekend. And, I feel like more often than not, you're getting really good starting pitching out of him.
Yeah, I love the way he pitches. He just looks calm, under control. And the thing is if he doesn't have, I think there for a little bit he lost his curveball. He didn't have it.
Yes, I didn't have it till the 4th inning.
Yeah. Then he gets his curveball, and he kind of lost his cutter, but he's able to maneuver through when he doesn't have his 1 or 2 pitches. And I remember guys like Blaine Knight, years ago, being able to do that. He didn't have 1 pitch; he could lean on another pitch, and that's the way Hunter Dietz is. And if all else fails, he's got a 96, 97 mile an hour fastball that you can. You're not going to hang a 97 mile an hour fastball, so yeah, you can rely on that sometimes too.
I think it was Bryce Fowler who he was really missing his fastball, pulling it over to his glove side, and goes to 3-2, and he's got enough trust in the fastball to go back to it, and he catches the outside corner, gets a big strikeout. Can't remember exactly what happened in the next at bat, but got out of that inning, and it felt like that was a big moment in the game where he was it kind of lost the feel of the fastball, but still trusted it enough to go back to it.
Yeah, and I mean that's what the good pitchers do. I mean you got to trust your stuff. I go back to the Parker Coyle cutter in. That's a dangerous pitch if you make a mistake, but if you trust your pitch and if you're committed to that pitch, you'll execute it.
Cole Gibbler, I thought he pitched okay. Wasn't great. I don't know that I don't know what I expected out of him in that game to start, but he gets him fairly deep into the game. What do you go, about 4 2/3 innings? Is that right?
4 1/3.
4 1/3. So he gets him into the 5th inning. And Van Horn said the next day that he thought it was a good learning experience for him. Said that he thought he would be better the next time out because of some of the things that talking about holding runners and things like that. That he thought that was going to be something that's going to pay off for him in the future.
I think so. I think, speaking of holding runners, I think that's his one weakness. I don't know if he's doing something to tip when he's picking or when he's not picking, or maybe it's just Alabama being really aggressive. And I know they stole third a couple times on him, stole second. I don't know if there's something there, but he'll get better. He'll get better at that. But I thought he went out there and battled through some really good pitches. Thought his breaking ball looked really good. He didn't really have command of his fastball here and there, but I thought he did a good job of just maneuvering through the lineup and doing a pretty good job.
I want to ask you about something Rob Vaughn said yesterday. He said he thought Arkansas stole third more this weekend than they have probably in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Did it stand out to you?
Yeah, I think it did, and it ended up being huge a couple times. Mm-hmm. Was it Pompey that stole and they threw the ball away and he
double
scored?
steal with Pompey and I think Robinette, and Pompey scored.
Yeah. So just taking advantage. If they're going to give it to you, pitchers, and I watch it from the booth a lot, Matt. You'll watch guys, they get into a rut, whether they're a one-look guy or a two-look guy. It doesn't matter. A two-look guy is the same as a one-look guy. He's going to look back, look back, and then go to the plate. And I think our base runners are doing a good job of taking advantage of that. Third's easy to steal if your pitcher's going to give it to you. It's an easier base to steal than second.
We talked about Gackle. I thought I think they were disappointed that he couldn't go further on Friday night. Now I think in the long run it ended up helping them because they were able to go back to him in a tough moment on Sunday. But I thought the fact that Colin Fisher was able to get through those last 3 innings, and I know he had a big lead, but he looked a lot better. Maybe if he got a 9-run lead whenever he's starting, things would have gone better for him as a starter. But I thought that that was a good performance by him. I mean, it's a couple of runs, but it's kind of he's pitching in a unique situation at that point.
But think about when Dave brought him in.
It was a closer game,
5-4 in the 7th inning.
Yep.
And honestly, I don't ever second guess Dave, but I'm sitting there thinking, ooh, is this a good move, Dave? And but that just shows the confidence. And look, as a player, when a coach shows confidence in you to put you out there, it gives you a little bit of extra, a little bit extra, bows your neck a little bit, and I thought he stepped up and did a good job.
Everything we've seen, it feels like, or a lot of what we've seen, or what we think we know about this team, from a pitching perspective, has changed in the last couple of weeks just because the roles have changed. Like Dietz is no longer the number 2; he's the number 1. Gackle's no longer a starter. Fisher's no longer a starter. Gibbler's no longer a reliever. McIlvain's the closer now. Like I wonder how it worked this weekend.
Yeah.
I wonder how sustainable that is.
Well, I think it is. And one more thing on Fisher. Think about, you just said everything matters. Those 3 innings that he was able to throw, first of all, it helped that we tacked on 5 in the 8th, 5 in the 9th. Helped, but the fact that he was able to go 3 innings and close that game out saved some dudes for the next day, and I thought it was huge for him to be able to do that.
How big of a weekend? Maybe obviously it's a big weekend. How much do you think now what they did this weekend can transfer down the stretch in the SEC? And do you think this is a turning point for the team, that we're going to see something totally different over the last 5 weeks than we did for most of the first 5?
I think it's a tough question. I think you will know more after this weekend. Now, if we can repeat it again against Georgia and win the series against Georgia, a sweep, who knows? But just win the series against Georgia coming into town, I think we'll know then if it's something, because the rest of the schedule looks a little better for us. Of course, you talk about Ole Miss. Ole Miss has been playing really well. So who knows? They swept who they swept LSU this weekend.
Yeah.
So they're playing good baseball. So there's not an easy series in the SEC, but I think we'll know more, in this weekend. But I think we're playing with a little swag right now. We got a little swagger to us. I think offensively, guys are feeling good at the plate. The pitchers are coming in, and I thought Sunday was the big test for the bullpen, and I thought they did a really good job of just saying, hey, you guys, we got you. Offensively, we're not scoring any runs, but we got you today. We're not going to give anything up today. I thought that was really good to see.
The wind blowing in made a difference, but the expectation, I think, by both coaches was that they were going to have to score a lot of runs to win Game 3, and that ended up being the lowest scoring game of the weekend.
Yeah, well, I think the win. But if you look at the balls we hit, so I'm coaching on Sunday, and I've got Phil on in my pocket, and I'm trying to coach with him going on. And there were several times that I'm like, okay, wait, I want to coach, but I want to let me hear what Phil says before I call this pitch or give this sign. But yeah, I think the wind played a role in that. I mean, there were probably several balls that would have been hit out any other day, but I think we hit more balls hard than they did.
So they've got UAPB tomorrow night. One thing that and I'm going to write about this today, but one thing that I've noticed, remember in 2022 when they played all 4 of the in-state teams twice, they beat them all, but they were all like all of them had pretty bad records that year. You turn the corner now to this season, UCA doesn't have the greatest record, but UAPB, they're one of the best teams in their conference. Arkansas State, we saw, and we've talked about them plenty, that they're competitive in the Sun Belt now. Little Rock, one of the best teams in the OVC. It's like these games against these in-state teams, and I fully expect Arkansas to be able to beat UAPB tomorrow night, but I feel like they're a lot more competitive than maybe what we were accustomed to seeing 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, without a doubt. Even UAPB's better this year. I mean, I think there's midweek games. I mean, just look at the Tuesday scores. Every Tuesday, there's upsets all over the SEC, all over the country, really.
Yeah.
But I mean,
well, UCA beat Vanderbilt this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's different in baseball right now, college baseball. I mean, there's good players all over the place. So, I'm not really worried about Tuesday's game. We tend to not play real well when we go to Little Rock. Plus, we got a short week with the game starting on Thursday against Georgia. So we're going to need some guys to step up. But, I mean, there's plenty of guys we can go to. We got Cooper Dossett, you got Brissy, you got Peyton Lee, you've got, Luke Corneliuson. I mean, we got guys we can go to. But there will be some guys, I'm sure, that will be off limits tomorrow night. Just
I think so.
Because of the Thursday start.
Or if they're not off limits, well, I'm sure there's going to be some that are off limits, and I'm sure there's going to be some others who maybe they pitch, but they're not going to go more than an inning.
Yeah, I think so. So, I think what you don't want is to go down there and I don't think we will. Dave won't let it happen, but go down there. We're coming off a huge emotional sweep. We're looking ahead to Georgia. We don't want that to affect the way we play Tuesday night in Little Rock.
That ballpark is a graveyard. You talk about the wind in Tuscaloosa. I was looking at the weather for tomorrow night, talking about maybe about a 20-mile-an-hour wind out of the south coming off the river. like whoever built that stadium, they did it for aesthetic.
Yeah.
So you could see the Little Rock skyline out past the outfield. They didn't do it because they wanted a high-scoring baseball team, because that is a tough park to hit in.
Yeah, I always say it's a good day to be a hitter. In that ballpark, I don't know if it's a good day to be a hitter on most days.
Yeah.
It's a big yard.
And
the ball doesn't carry.
It's like, 330 down one line, I think 332 down another. It's only 400 to center field, which is kind of typical. But, boy, it's hard. It's like in the alleys and down the lines, it is hard to get the ball out. And, again, the wind plays a huge factor when you play there. And that's why I think it's one of the reasons why I think you just see when they go there, it's a lot of low-scoring games.
Yeah, and I think that favors UAPB. Definitely.
Plus, you also see when Arkansas plays these teams like UAPB or Grambling, a lot of these SWAC teams where the velocity from the pitchers is not as high. They're what do you call it, the Bugs Bunny changeup that they're dealing with a lot of times, and it's like you might see a pitch that's, wait, did I say 68? It's just different, and it can take a couple, maybe a time through the batting order to get accustomed to.
Yeah, I say all the time, when you're facing slow pitching, you should preload, because you get so accustomed to loading at a certain time. You load, you stride, and then the pitch still isn't there. I have my guys, when they're facing slower pitching, they preload. So that part of the swing's already out of the way. You preload, you wait, you step and hit, and that helps you stay back on slower pitching. So. But I think we'll be fine. I'm just looking forward to the. I know we're not talking about Georgia yet, but I think this will be a really fun 3 games.
I think it's going to be interesting to see who Arkansas pitches tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Because they started McGuire on Tuesday last week. Well, he started the Sunday game, so I would suspect they're not going to start him again. Through 50 pitches, maybe he can pitch again. Who knows? I don't know what kind of rebound he has. But I'm very interested to see who all pitches in this game, and in particular, who goes out there and tries to. Well, number one, are you starting somebody hoping they can go 4 or 5 innings, or are you starting somebody hoping they're going to give you kind of like an opening, couple innings, maybe 3, and then it's a bullpen night?
I think it'll be more of that. Oh, and someone else, Brumball is another guy we might see tomorrow night. And he's a guy that can run it up there a little bit, got good secondary pitches, so he might be a guy we see tomorrow night.
It seems like whenever they play down there, they try to get pitchers who are from that area an opportunity to get in the game. It doesn't always happen. Like Will McIntyre, he didn't get into the game last season. But, you think about Steele Eves. He's from Lone Oak, a little bit away. He's pretty durable. He didn't pitch yesterday. So you wonder, maybe does he get in there? Peyton Lee is from Maumelle. Possibly he gets in and gets a chance to pitch. I'm not sure if there's others on the staff. I haven't, taken a look. But, at the full Central Arkansas list of players. But I kind of suspect you might see both of them based on where they're from, but also how they've used them in midweeks in the the past.
Yeah, I think so. I think you might see Peyton Lee start. He started a few Tuesday games. They might.
Haven't seen James DeCrimmer in a little while.
Ooh, that could be another one.
That's another one who has.
Think about that.
It hasn't gone well for him sometimes when he's pitched. I know he's been dealing with that was a calf injury.
Yeah.
But that's I guess that's another possibility.
Yeah, he could be one that could start, but I think it'd be more of like an opener. Go as far as you can, then go to the next guy. But we got enough arms. There's we got some dudes in there that can come out and get some outs for you.
I did want to mention a couple of things about RPI before we get out of here. Remember, we said a couple of weeks ago that it felt like they needed to go 3 or 3 or 3 and 3 or better. Auburn and Alabama. Well, they went 4 and 2 on the road, and you really saw the RPI shoot up this weekend. Let's look and see what the RPI is right now. It was about 57, I think, before they went down there, and it moves every day, up to 35 right now. So it's still not quite, I think, where you want it, but they've. I feel like what the Alabama series did, it almost like it in some ways. It erased a bad weekend somewhere else. I don't know if that bad weekend was Stetson. I don't know if that bad weekend was getting swept by Florida at Baum. But it kind of like, okay, now you've got a response here on the road that's made up for some of the struggles that you've had at home. Now what can you do with it? It's at 35. It's in a good spot. They play Georgia this weekend. If you win a game or the series against Georgia, it's probably going to help it out a little bit. Ole Miss and Oklahoma, those are both high RPI teams. I'll tell you one that's kind of sneaky under the radar, Missouri State. They're 16 RPI. I still contend that letting that game get away in Springfield was a huge missed opportunity for the RPI. They go to Kentucky at the end of the year. Kentucky's a high RPI team. Really the landmines, if you will, are UAPB tomorrow night in Little Rock. You got to avoid that one. Northwestern State comes here in a couple of weeks for a double midweek. That's an RPI landmine, and then they go to Missouri. And Missouri is just they're Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri got swept by South Carolina.
They did.
All right.
Yeah,
that's not good baseball right there.
No, and I think it was in. It'd be easy to say it was in Columbia because both of them are in Columbia, but I think it was at Mizzou.
Yeah.
South Carolina won, or they swept on the road.
Yeah, I think it's funny you call it a landmine.
That's what they are. They're landmines. You step on one of those right now, and it can blow up your RPI.
Yeah, you're right. Well, that's why I think we got to be careful tomorrow night and go out with the right mindset, which I know we will. But I mean, you're when you come off a big weekend like this weekend, and then you get on a bus and you drive to Little Rock, it always seems like kind of a trap game. But I think we'll be all right.
It's a lot of travel.
Yeah,
a lot of travel they've had. I mean, you think about. Going back a couple of weeks now, drove to Springfield, flew to Auburn, didn't get in until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at Auburn. Then, they come home. Then they go to Alabama. They fly back last night, get back, fairly late. And then they're going to get on a bus, go down to Little Rock tomorrow. That can take a toll, I think, on you as a player.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of it's more mental than physical. So you just got to be able to flip that switch when game time starts. Tomorrow night. I don't know. What time is the game tomorrow night? Is it 6?
6 o'clock.
Yeah. They'll flip that switch. They'll be ready to go. That place will be packed out. Tickets are hard to come by down there. So
they're hard to come by, and nobody's ever in their seat because they're always at the beer garden.
Yeah.
I mean, like the line to get a beer at that ballpark is, I don't know. I mean, I may be over, maybe 5,000 people deep at all times. It is insane. It is crazy.
Yeah. But in closing on my part, I'm proud of the team. I felt good about them going to Alabama. Remember, I said it last week. I felt really good about it. But I'm proud of the team the way we responded. I thought they went down there and took care of business. I think Dave and Hobbs and Tom's Wernis, those guys. I think they had the guys ready to go. The scouting report. I just think everything about the weekend, I think, was good. I think it was really good for this team to go down there and show what they're capable of doing. And a lot of it is believing in yourselves.
Yeah.
And I think we were kind of teetering on, are we a good team or are we not a good team? And I think now they're like, hey, we're good.
Yeah, if nothing else, it gives them confidence moving forward. And I think that, that's as big as if you're not confident, you're not going to play good.
No, you're not.
I'm not surprised they won the series. I'm surprised they swept.
Yeah.
Because Alabama had won 18 in a row at home. And they were 8-1 in their last 9. You talked about Arkansas being 1-6. Alabama was 8-1. It was as surprising as Tennessee sweeping at Mississippi State was, I might even say Arkansas sweeping at Alabama was a little bit more surprising, given what the what the track records had been the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, and you look at how Sunday's game started out. We got behind 2-0. We made a couple of errors. Things just didn't look like they were going our way, and then we found a way to win a game when I don't think we played that great. And once again, that's what the good teams do. They find a way to win, and we were able to do that.
One more time, our baseball podcast brought to you by H&R Tire and Auto. They're proudly family-owned since 1976, trusted across Northwest Arkansas, committed to keeping you safe on the road all season long. You can learn more or schedule service at hrtireandauto.com. I'll be in North Little Rock tomorrow to cover the Razorback baseball game. Christina Long's going to be in here for the podcast. Hope that we see at our website, wholehogsports.com, and Bubba will be back Thursday as we look back at UAPB and look ahead to Georgia. Hope to see you then.